Well, hello everyone. It's Bronie here again for another day in Bronie's world, and it's Wise Wednesday in my part of the world. It's also the first Wise Wednesday of 2023, and it's day 1057, I think.
Holy cow.
Anyway, so listen, this first week of the year, we have had some amazing bit of training in our company. And on the first actual training thing that we had with goal setting and stuff, this gorgeous young lady that I've brought to you today was on there, and she shared a few things that I thought, man, the teenagers of the world, anyone of any age of the world, but teenagers of the world need to hear this young lady's story, her enthusiasm and her determination to hit the goals that she has set for herself. And age is no barrier. Now, my young guest today is only 14 years of age, and I can tell you what, listening to her, I would never have guessed she was only 14. If I didn't know better, I would have thought she was much older than that. She has a really screwed on head. I think she's probably more in tune with what she wants than what I was at 14, although I had always wanted to be a nurse ever since I was little, and that's what I ended up doing. But anyway, that's a different story. That's not her story. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce to you our gorgeous guest. Now, I have never come across this name before, either her first name or her surname. It's Angelica.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to attempt her last name. She can take it herself. She is actually the daughter of one of my very dear friends, Sheryl Morley, whom I absolutely adore, and you've seen the interview before. So, Angelica, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you share with the world your story, your goals, your dreams, and how you plan to get there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. This is always, great opportunities. I love sharing what I think about, goal setting and motivation, and how, choices and New Year's resolutions, just all that good stuff. So where to start, man? Holy cow.
14 years ago, you were born.
Yes.
But not on your own. Because you
No.
are.
I am a daughter of fantastic parents. My dad is
a twin.
Yes, that too. I am a twin. My brother is fantastic tennis player. He's going somewhere with it. He's kind of like me. We both have very, clear paths to what we want to do. He wants to be a professional tennis player. But it was interesting going on that New Year's resolution call with Paul and my mom. We talked a lot about choices. I was kind of their guinea pig. And so Paul kind of did this test. Paul kind of did this test on me. And we talked a lot about the 6 human needs. And I'll get into that a little bit. But the main thing we focused on was how life is a choice, and everything in your life you can choose. So if you want to be successful, you choose to be successful, and you make goals that can help you get to your version of success. So my version of success would be, I want to act, sing, and dance professionally on Broadway. So my goals are to improve singing, improve dancing, and improve my acting, and kind of narrowing everything down into me just focusing on that and doing what I can to move forward with that is super important. So I had a very hard time for this. I wasn't always like this, believe it or not, but I had a really hard time with I wanted to do everything all the time. So I wanted to play soccer and play tennis, and I wanted to sing, dance, act. I wanted to, you know, give speeches and be a lawyer. So I wanted to do everything. And my dad sat me down, and a lot of goal setting and everything comes from him as well. A lot comes from my mom, but he knew what he wanted to do since he was 5. So he's always had that kind of mentality. But he sat me down and he said, "Look, I don't know how you playing soccer is going to help you reach your end goal." And he goes, what's your end goal? What do you want to do in your life? And I said, well, I really like singing, dancing, and acting. So I really want to go, perform in musical theater or film or whatever it is. And he said, okay, how is soccer going to help you get there? And I said, it won't. And he goes, okay, then why do it? Why do something that's going to, deviate you from your path? And I said, that's a great point. So I cut everything out. I said, I'm not playing soccer. I'm not playing tennis. I don't want to be a lawyer. So I just want to do the things that'll help me reach my end goal. And that goes for everything, like every goal you set. So, career goals, weight loss goals, it goes for everything, short-term goals, long-term goals. But yeah, and it's super important that you have fun doing it. Like have fun on the journey to your goal, because a lot of the time, if it's not fun, we ain't gonna do it. So
exactly.
But again, your goal, your journey to the goal, that being it's whatever you make it. So if I wanted the journey to be, hard, exhausting, difficult, not fun, that's what I'm putting in my mind. That's how it's going to be. That's my reality for that journey to that goal, to that success. But
absolutely, yeah.
If I turn it around and I say, no, working out is fun. Singing is fun, acting is fun, dancing is fun. I don't see it as work. I see it as exciting, as, there's good emotion connected to it.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the fact that I have the talent to sing and dance and act. I'm grateful that I can move my body in these certain ways. If you look at it like that, you are guaranteed to stay on that path to the success. Yeah. And another thing is, I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. It will definitely, there will be bumps in the road, I promise. There always are, but that's where the determination comes in. And that's determination to keep the mindset you have, the healthy mindset you have of this is going to get this. I want to go somewhere with this. This is going to get me somewhere in my life. This is going to make my life better. I'm going to love the outcome of whatever the goal is, whatever it is. But just staying determined to get to that point is also very important. So excitement, gratitude, have it super exciting, fun, all of those emotions, but also determination. So you also need a solid foundation of determination.
Yeah, so a set end goal in mind, and so there. And I'm going to ask you because, like, everyone does things differently.
Right.
And, right. It's a long time ago that I was a teenager. And it's a funny thing, right? Even as a teenager, when I was a teenager, you weren't taught to sit down and write your goals, write out what you wanted to do for the future. Mind you, back then also, usually when you went into a career, that's what you stuck with for the rest of your life. Whereas these days,
right,
they flip and everyone flits from one thing to another all the time. And that, I think, can be a little bit damaging. It can be rewarding, but it can also be damaging. So, like I said, I was never taught to write my goals down as a teenager. And I still actually struggle with that today.
Right.
Right. Because I was brought up to not think too lofty of a goal. I guess that comes from being a struggling family. So being a teenager of today, what advice would you give teenagers of today to stop them going off after every shiny object and bring, because I know you've done horse riding, I presume you probably still do horse riding, and you've done all these other different activities, and like I said, your dad said, hey, is that going to get you what you want to do? So you had to rein that in. But as a teenager, do you write that down? Do you, what do you do every day to keep you focused on that end goal? I mean, like, your mum and dad, your mum, or dad probably does too, but your mum and Paul teach us to write our goals down, to write that affirmation every day. Do you as a teenager do that? Or, what advice can you give to teenagers? Because I know I have a teenage foster son, and to try and get him to focus to do that,
right?
He has ideas of what he wants, but he's never written them down.
Right. So I think I heard a couple questions in there. I'll start with the 6, like it all comes back to the 6 human needs.
Sounds like a good plan.
The 6 human needs are certainty, significance, variety, love, contribution, and growth. So explaining those to me, so Paul explained those to me, and he said, if you get those in line, then it won't be hard to write your goals down, to stay in line with, stay on the path to your goal. It won't be hard. And I said, that makes no sense. These are just, words on a paper. Like, how does this, you're not making any sense.
Oh, I'm glad you think like that too, because that's exactly what I was thinking too.
I definitely came from somewhere. I wasn't born like this. But my top need for the longest time was variety. So I'd want everything all the time. Variety means it's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. It's kind of like that. Yeah. So you never focus on one thing. You're just constantly moving. People who travel all the time, who don't settle, their top need is variety. It's not the best thing. Hey, if you want to travel the world all the time and never settle, great. But that's not what I want to do. So variety being my top need was a problem, because if variety is my top need, I won't be able to focus on where I want to go. I think it's also, how bad do you want it? So if you get to a point where, like your son, for example, if he finds something that he really wants to do, and it's kind of hard because there's a very thin line between looking for your niche, kind of looking for your niche, however you pronounce that word, looking niche, for what you want to do, and variety, and just wanting, going all over the place and having problems there. So it's a really thin line, but I think what has to happen is you have to, as a teenager, you have to realize that, okay, let's get serious. We're not joking around anymore. Because for me, for my mental health, it was not okay for me to be moving around, in having variety be my top need, because it was, taking me away from having like time to solve the issues that I was kind of dealing with, going through. So I was really stressed out about what I was going to do. So I kept going through and moving to all of these things. I kept trying to see what I wanted to do. And then I talked to Paul, and Paul said, your top need is variety. And I said, okay, let me think about this. Talk to my dad. My dad said basically the same thing, except he said, how is this going to help you to your goal? What are your goals? And it's definitely hard to do that for yourself. I think it was easier for me because I had somebody come up to me and tell me, "What do you want to do? You're being ridiculous. Snap out of it." Um, it's
I think
definitely
we all
hard.
need that slap on the face.
Need a little slap. But I think what I did was I took a step back from myself and I said, "What are my talents?"
Yeah.
I looked at it and I said, "Okay, I can sing, I'm musically inclined, I can dance, and I like being in front of people." So I took that and I was like, "Okay, um, Broadway. Broadway, let's do that. Let's just be on stage. We like being in front of people, we're musically inclined, we like to sing. Okay, great. Broadway." And I was in a couple shows when I was little. I just finished a show at George Mason and I love it. And so that's what I want to do. So I think finding what you want to do and then wanting it so bad. Like I'm addicted to the stage. I need it. And so taking variety out of my life, one, completely changed everything for me. And then getting everything else in order, like writing things, so writing your goals down, that to me is how badly do I want to have clarity, how so I kind of think of it like this: if my path is a straight line towards success, to where I want to be, and I have all these trees in the way, writing things down, writing everything down. I journal all the time because it gives me this, like, I kind of take all the clumpiness up here and get it on the paper, and it kind of resets my brain. So
Well, that's a good way of putting it.
all the trees in the way and on my path, if I write down my goals, if I start writing down the things that I want to do, that I need, it completely just demolishes all the trees. I immediately have clarity of what I want to do. For me, I have a very, like, I ever since I was a little tyke, I've always, if I want this, I want it now.
Yeah.
And I will put in the work to do it. And I want it all at once. And I think another thing is realizing that you can't have it all now. Like when I started on my little journey to Broadway, I told my mom, I said, "Mom, we're moving to LA. I'm going to audition. Let's go get in movies. Come on, what are we waiting for? I don't know what you're doing. Like, hello." And my mom said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't have any training. You don't have any, you're unexperienced. How are you gonna go out there?" And I was like, "No, no, no, but there's, 1 out of a million people that go and audition and they get into movies. So I'm that one." And my mom said, "But let's, put in the work." And I said, "Okay." And I think realizing that things take time. There is, you're not going to have it in a week. And that was a big issue for me, especially with working out. I got into weightlifting a lot. So I loved weightlifting. And then I got into dancing, and you can't be a bodybuilder and ballroom dance. It doesn't work. You can't be really, like, you can't be a boulder and dance. It doesn't, there's no crossover there. And so my dance teacher said, "You're gonna have to, slim down. You have way too much, you're overdeveloped. There's just a ton of, like, your muscles, they're just too much. And I said, "Okay." And so I started, more cardio, hit pretty much, high interval training, all of that. And it didn't happen in a week. And so I quit and I go to another gym. And then I go to another gym. Like that's going to change anything. But in my mind, it was. And so again, going back to the 6 human needs, putting variety at the bottom is super important if you want clarity to reaching your goal. But if you don't, then, you know, variety can go at the top. But not the most important need there.
Yeah, and I loved your analogy of the trees in the way and writing it down. And it just came to my mind. I think, yeah, you know, doing that. And even as you said clearing the trees out of the way, but having it written down, this is my analogy of what you said.
Yeah.
It would also, okay, and I'm thinking of my foster son here who has a goal in mind,
right,
but gets distracted by friends and who want to distract him from his path. And so this is why I'm trying to encourage teenagers and anyone to write it down, so that, you know, you may have trees in the way, you may have paths that will try and take you off the main path. But if you have it, this is what I'm hearing from you, because you've got it written down, you can look at that, you write it every day, I presume. You write it every day.
Yep.
You write it out every day.
Yep.
It helps you. If you get distracted, it brings you back to the path.
Yep.
Or if something catastrophic happens, you know, heaven forbid you have an earthquake,
right,
and it takes you off your path for a few months until everything settles back down, and, you know, like your house has fallen down through the earthquake. You know, I'm being very dramatic here.
right.
Being an actress, you would know that. You've got to be really dramatic. But yeah. And so having it written down and writing it every day would help you bring your mind back to the end goal. That's what I'm hearing from you? Is that how you see it?
Yeah. I have this routine that I get in, and it was really hard starting out because I just didn't want to do it. But I got into this routine of writing what I'm grateful for. So 3 things that I'm grateful for twice a day. So morning and night. And then, you know, my goals twice a day. And doing that constantly reminds me of what I want. And it also puts an enormous amount of pain on where I am now, which is important. So, you know, people disagree with me on this, but I believe in this. Putting an enormous amount of pain on how you are now will push you to your goal. So it's a weird balance. So an enormous amount of pain here will push you towards your goal here, and then your drive and your determination will pull you. So you don't have to do any work. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
You get into a rhythm of I want this so bad. I want this so bad. And then that want will pull you. Just imagine if you add some pain to how you are now. You want to get out of it. You don't want to feel that anymore. So you start working towards what you want in the future. That's huge, especially with weight loss. That definitely works with weight loss. If you're, you know, looking for a way to, you know, I need to lose weight, but it's extremely important that you, something that Paul says this a lot. He says, pain to the old, and then pleasure to the new. So you want to create an enormous amount of happiness and gratitude towards where you want to be. So the way Paul writes his goals, the way I write my goals, is I am so happy and grateful now, ... So, you know, with me, I want to get into USC. I have a couple colleges picked out. I'm just using USC as one of them. But I want to get into USC. They have a phenomenal musical theater program. So I'm saying right now, I am so happy and grateful now that I am in USC. And it's not just saying that, it's the amount of excitement I add to it. So, you know, I actually get happy. Like, I'm sitting here writing them down. I'm like, what? Yes, let's go. We did it. We're at USC. I'm so happy. So amazing. Like, you have to do that. And it seems silly. It seems, oh, okay, sure. But it
Especially if
really,
other people are listening and they have no idea what you're doing.
it really puts you into momentum. Like, you start going immediately. Like, you put it out there and off you go. But then adding an amount of pain, which you don't have to write this down. I don't write this down, but I think it a lot. It's always in the back of my head. I'm like, man, I'm not in USC. Sure, I'm not old enough, but I'm not in USC, and that bugs me. And so what am I going to do to get in there? And that's you can add that to anything. I'm not, I don't know, I don't weigh this amount, and that bugs me. So here I am. But you have to counter that with, oh my gosh, I'm so happy and grateful now that I weigh, or I'm so happy and grateful now that I have, or whatever it is. But it's always a balance. Everything is a balance.
Absolutely. And it really warms my heart to see a teenager that has this mindset. I don't see a lot of it in the teenagers today. They're just so busy attacking each other, being nasty to each other. And
Yeah.
And our young fellow, he has something in mind that he wants to do, but I see him every day, someone trying to distract him, pull him down and say, oh, what are you doing working there? Why don't you go and get a real job now? You're 8, well, he's 19 now, but the day he turned 18, he had all these people telling him, these so-called peers, oh, why don't you go and get a real job now?
Right.
He had a real job. He's been working part-time since he was in year 10, so since he was old enough to work, so 15 and 9 months, whatever it is. So he, and he loves that. And he wants to be a manager in that particular industry. And he has learning difficulties.
Yeah.
Now, he hasn't written his goals down, but we do talk about them. And I see his friends trying to pull him off and then, hey, come on, this is what you said you wanted.
Right.
And I'm trying to encourage him to write them down so that because he's had a few things happen in the last few months where people have tried to do everything to pull him away from his dreams, from what he wants.
Yeah, so those are definitely bumps in the road. Those are very large trees on your path. Things like that, that is a very hard choice to make, because this isn't on the scale that you're talking, but let's take my brother. He'll make me annoyed. Now,
yeah, siblings will do that. I'm one of 8.
I can choose to get annoyed, or I could choose to handle it better. So in his case, he could choose to let them, dumb him down. He can choose to let them be the reason that he doesn't reach his goal, or he could use them as motivation. He could use them as, oh, okay, I'll show you, fine. That's what you think? Well, I'm going to do 10 times better than what you think. Like, that's how I am. I use it as motivation. It's not a great place for motivation, but it is kind of like pain to the old. That's kind of what that is. So you could use that definitely as a boost, but that's super hard. That takes a lot of practice. I still don't do that. I mean, that's what acting is. Acting is people telling you, oh my gosh, you're not good enough. You suck. You should, not be in this industry at all. Why are you here? So hearing that is really hard, but knowing that I have a set of skills and that I want to reach, I want to get to this certain point, you're just kind of a bump in the road. I'm just going to have to, we're just going to have to walk over you and move on, because that's one person's opinion, or it's 5 people's opinion, or it's everyone's opinion. But that doesn't matter, because the only thing that matters is what you think of yourself, which is also a choice, what you think of yourself, how, what your goal is and how you're going to get there, because that's the only thing that you should really focus on. Like, that's the only thing that should concern you. Now, other people's opinions, they come and go, all of these things, take it with a grain of salt. It's good to have people's feedback, but, and constructive criticism is great, but it's also realizing that, thank you for your input. I'll think about it. I'm moving on. That's kind of how I think about people like that. People are mean. It's just not, it's not sunshine and rainbows out there. It's a giant path with a lot of trees. There's no rainbows. You can't see the rainbows, but you get to the end and there's your rainbow. So it's hard, but it's a choice that you have to make. And it's difficult to ask, or to look at everything yourself. It's easier if somebody, oh, it's a choice you make. And then you're like, okay. But, doing that yourself, taking a step outside of yourself and seeing the problem is really hard. So that just takes practice. But kind of flipping into that mindset is
and overcoming peer pressure. Now, peer pressure happens at all ages.
Yep.
Even more so to teenagers. The peer pressure is enormous. I don't know about where you are, but here, one of the peer pressures that happens a lot is, doing drugs and alcohol and, really abusing your body. And thank goodness he's he likes a little drink, but and he's sort of kind of got overboard at times, but he's also, praise the Lord, recognizes that, okay, I have to work tomorrow, so he doesn't drink through the week.
Right.
And then he said to us the other weekend, he said, because it's not a path that we encourage, but he said the other week he went and spent weekend at his girlfriend's family's home, and he said, it was I'm so looking forward to a weekend with no alcohol.
Right.
And I said, you can have that every weekend.
Right.
But the peer pressure, what these other friends who have actually now turned on him, was drink. And they would want him to drink through the week. And he said, no, I have to work.
Right.
He's learned some strong things, but peer pressure is such, he used to struggle with peer pressure.
Yeah.
Do you have that? I imagine all teenagers actually have that struggle.
Yeah. I've encountered it a little bit, but I'm super headstrong in my beliefs. So, I don't see my belief system as, a belief system. I see it as my personality. That's who I am. And so you trying to change who I am, I'm not okay with. So, I think it's becoming confident within yourself. I think it's becoming set in your beliefs. Is, hey, look, I don't do that. So go somewhere else. You're not going to mess with me. That's not who I am. So don't try to make me someone who I'm not. Which is hard, but it's also a choice. So becoming confident, it's the entire thing is fake it till you make it. And faking it forever is not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you add an amount of emotion to anything, you will become that. So a lot of kids nowadays are, or especially out here, with some of the girls that I encounter, some of the teenagers that I encounter, that I, talk with, they say, oh, I'm depressed. And I go, oh, okay. And they go, well, and I ask them, how do you know you're depressed? What is the cause of your depression? And they say, oh, well, I cry. And I go, okay, so do I, but I'm not depressed.
Mm.
And they go, well, what do you mean? I go, yes, I cry. That is a normal human thing. I'm not depressed because I don't label myself as that. I label myself as a grateful, happy-go-lucky, excited, determined, confident person. I'm someone who, follows Christ. I'm someone who, I have all these things about myself. None of them are negative, because the minute I put something negative into my head is the minute that everything changes. I lose my, determination. I lose my confidence. And so I tell these girls, especially girls, at my age right now, I tell them, look, do you want to be confident? Do you want to have self-esteem? Do you want to be able to, not have to worry about everyone around you who, because a big deal with these girls right now is they're all self-conscious, what if they don't like this? And what if they don't like that? And I tell them, I'm like, look, it's a choice you make. It's a really hard choice, but it's one decision and that's it. That's it. You change your life. That's it. And you have to be able to make a serious decision, because me saying, okay, you're depressed. Do you want to be happy and confident? Of course you do. Okay. Well, then be happy and confident. That's not what I'm saying. It's, I really don't like being sad. I really don't like being depressed.
Yeah.
I'm dreadful. There's nothing good in my life right now. And so me coming in and telling these girls, you hate it that much. You clearly do. Okay. So you hate it that much. All it is a decision. And all you have to do to become motivated is write down your goals and get a goal. I don't care what it is. It could be getting out of bed tomorrow morning. But setting, daily goals, it could be a really long-term goal, which tends to discourage people. So I start these girls off on tomorrow, get up and work out for 30 minutes. You accomplish that and your brain goes, oh my gosh, we accomplished something, because your brain is not your best friend. It most of the time tells you, oh, we're gonna go do this thing, okay, but you quit halfway through it. Your brain goes, see, I told you so. I told you you'd do that. I knew you would. That's our thought process. So then we lose motivation. So, someone, doing something, setting a goal, doing it, completing it, it tricks your brain. Your brain goes, wait, hold on. We actually did something. Holy cow. That means we can do more things and more things and more things and more things. And you just keep going and keep going. So, yeah, it's really hard. Peer pressure is a touchy subject. You can go a ton of ways with peer pressure. Like for example, my brother so I'm homeschooled. Not really homeschooled. We're supposed to be calling it tutoring, because I'm not at home with my mom being taught. I go to someone's house and they teach me. And I've known my teacher for my whole life. She's awesome. But Justice decided that he wanted to go to public school, high school. Mm-hmm. And we said, okay. And so I talked to him. I said, you do realize that you're opening yourself up to all these, peer pressure. You're opening yourself to people who are suicidal, depression. You're just going into a really negative space.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And I said, okay, so what if somebody, says, hey, Justice, why aren't you vaping? Well, it's cool to vape. Why aren't you vaping? You're not very cool. And he goes, well, I wouldn't vape. And I go, yeah, you say that. Mm-hmm. Of course, no one wants to vape because it's bad, right? But give me 3 good reasons why you wouldn't. And his, one of his reasons was, I want to play tennis. And I said, great. That's his only motivation. So he wants to get into a D1 college for tennis. He wants to be a professional. Yeah. So vaping is not going to help him get there. No. So why vape? It's all connected. So, this boy wants to be a manager. Drinking alcohol, smoking, doing drugs isn't going to help me get there. So why do it? Right. Exactly. It's kind of that mentality. Now, I'm not saying don't ever drink ever in your life. You can have a drink, but don't go off the rails. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, he doesn't smoke or vape.
That's good.
Another peer pressure thing that he's had friends try to get him to do, and
yeah,
praise the Lord, he hasn't. And but yeah, it's a hard thing for teenagers, and depression is really high up there for them. And like you said, a lot of adults I know say to me, oh, that they're depressed, or they say to me, aren't you depressed? The moment they see me, like, you cry,
right?
Oh, what are you depressed about? What, and then I'm not depressed. I'm having a moment,
right?
And we all have those moments, and sometimes they can be happy tears,
right?
Just
the interesting thing, I suddenly took interest to why things are going so bad right now. I kind of thought about it for a little while, and it like a thought came to me that everyone's trying to have a foundation of something, but they can't find it. So they move from thing to thing. I'm depressed. Let me go into the depression community and see if there's anyone there that I can, cement myself in, because we're losing belief systems. Like, no one has a belief system anymore. So let me try smoking. Okay, that doesn't work. Drinking. Okay, that doesn't work. I think the only thing that works is believing in something that is greater than yourself. That could be God, that could be the universe, that could be serving other people. It could be writing things down. It could be anything, but having something where you can cement yourself to, kind of, if that makes sense.
Set your foundation like a house.
Right. And for me, it's God. That's how I was born. That's how I was. That's what I truly believe in. I'm not. I don't. That's just how I am. And so going back to that foundation is super important. Especially now, because kids are labeling themselves and they're looking for something to cement themselves in, and they can't find it. Of course, they're doing it subconsciously. They don't know that they're doing that, but I think
society is doing it to them as well.
Yeah.
Society is saying, oh, because you're crying, oh, you're depressed, or because you don't have a smile on your face at this very second.
Right. You feel
What's
this
wrong
way.
with you? You must be depressed.
Right.
And I go, no, I'm just deep in thought. I don't even think about whether there's a smile on my face or not. It's
right.
Because sometimes when you're deep in thought, you don't necessarily have a smile. You just.
Yeah, I think it's being able to accept the emotions you're feeling and move on. Because I think right now a ton of kids get stuck. So they're saying, oh, I cry once, now I have to cry every day because I'm depressed and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's, it's okay to be sad. That's great. I would be worried if you weren't sad. But be sad and move on. Like, and it can get really muddy because, for example, if a loved one dies, sure, you will be sad for a period of time, but then move on. Because like something um pretty significant happened in my life, and I got really sad. What I told myself was, you're not going to be like this forever. You don't like feeling like this. So I'm going to give you 3 days to grieve, and then that'll be it. So I did. I cried for 3 days. I stayed in bed. I didn't move for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm not getting anything done. Me not moving is not helping. So I'm going to move around. So all I did was I stood up. That's all I did. I stood up and I was like, wow, I feel way better. Because getting out of, the characteristics of depression can help. So someone who's depressed is going to be, slumped over. They're not going to, be real expressive. They're going to be, I don't know. Paul talks a lot about this. They're not going to be loud. They're going to be quiet. Just stuff like that. But if you force yourself even for 2 minutes, if you stand in a power stance for 2 minutes, so that's like, even if you clench your fists for 2 minutes, you'll start to feel powerful, happy, whatever stance you take on. So if I take like a superhero stance, I'm going to start feeling powerful. That's so all I had to do was stand up. That's all I had to do. And that immediately got me out of my slump. And then, after 3 days, I was over it. I was, I'm not going to be like that anymore. I don't like feeling like that. So now I'm going to, start giving purpose to what I'm doing. I think that's also super important, is for everything you do, there has to be a good purpose. So, why do I work out? I like it. It'll help me with my career. It'll help me in terms of dancing.
It'll help your mind.
Right. It's a good form of therapy. I just love, that's my purpose for working out. But if I don't have a purpose, then I don't have any motivation. So, and it can be big purposes, small purposes, you can take it on every scale, but that's also super important.
Yeah, that's right. And like, even in the Bible, it says, there's a time for mourning and there's time for singing, dancing. There's a time for everything.
Right.
That doesn't mean you would avoid it altogether, but you work through it. That's there. That's foundation. That it's part of life. It's part of who we are,
right.
And how you deal with it and how you handle it and work with it is everything.
Right.
I mean, it's coming up for 20 years since my mother passed away.
Right.
Okay. And you talked about mourning. Now I miss her every day.
Right.
Every day. And every now and again, without any warning, I will burst into tears.
Right.
So they're not always tears of sadness. There might be tears of joy, of a happy memory. And that keeps her alive in my heart. And that's just as important. And when she first passed away and I had these moments, people, oh, don't go near her. She's sad. She's sad. I go, no, I'm not sad. Yes, I miss my mum. I know she's in a better place. Right. That I'm sure. But I'm just having a moment, and it's okay to have those moments.
Right.
Because they bring you purpose and they make you realize that, or I think, what would Jesus want me to do, but what would mum think of what I've achieved? How would she, if she was here, what would she do to help me overcome? And sometimes all I want is a cuddle from her.
Right.
Why aren't you here to cuddle me? Because I miss you, mum, and you're gone. Right. So I imagine it. I cuddle myself and imagine that. And it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because, she may be physically gone, but she's always here in my heart.
Right.
And that's the same with everything. You can, that's, again, I'm getting this from what you're saying. That's my interpretation of what you're saying. I must say I don't like the terminology "get over it" because I don't think you ever get over a loss. You learn
Right.
to cope. You learn to find a way forward and think. And this is how I think. My mother would not want me to be sitting around mourning for her.
Right.
She would want me to get on with living and living the best life that I can, the life God intended me to live, not
Right.
sit around mourning and because she used to talk about this when she was alive. And she would see people get so withdrawn and in themselves, having lost a loved one, a parent or whatever. And yes, that's not saying that loss wasn't significant and that you don't miss them. But is this really how they would want you to live?
Right.
Do they really want you to live your life in depression all the time?
Right.
Now, I don't know, that's probably a really deep thing, but I'm getting what you're saying with the kids in depression.
Right. I think another thing that I hear a lot is the sentence, "I'm this and this, it's just who I am."
Mm.
That saying is extremely powerful. So, when people say, I don't know, there's a ton of examples. Here's one. "I'm not a morning person, that's just who I am." Or "I'm depressed, that's just who I am." That's labeling yourself. You are telling that is your identity. You have created an identity for yourself that you are a depressed person, or that you are not a morning person, or da 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 da, and a ton of the lie that's going around right now is you have to kind of find your identity. You have to look for it. You don't make it up. It's just it's somewhere there. You just got to find it. That's false. You can choose to be who you want to be. So if you want to be a morning person, then get up in the morning every day and start saying, "I'm a morning person. It's just who I am." If you start saying that and getting up in the morning, you become a morning person. Paul's a perfect example of it. He used to not be a morning person. Now he gets up at 5 a.m. every morning. He's a morning person now. It's how it works. So definitely that translates into depression. That translates into, you can even do it with confidence. "I'm a confident person. That's just who I am." Or "I'm a person that likes to be in front of people. That's just who I am." Like if you have to go into a huge seminar, or that's your job, you have to be on TV or whatever it is, and you don't like doing that, start changing things around. Like start making it who you are, and it gets a little easier. Or "I'm a motivated person, that's just who I am." If you have problems with motivation, that's a pretty easy way out of things. That's a good way out of things. But you also have to add,
motivation is a big thing that I find a lot of people, regardless of the age, but young people, they don't have that motivation.
yeah, and a big misconception is, you have to wait around for motivation to come. If you wait around for motivation, it's not coming. I want you to tell you that it's not coming.
That's like waiting for the train to come, but the train hasn't started its engine yet. If the train never
right. So
little train do you know that story? You know that story? I've known it all my life.
I do not.
Yeah, the little caboose that says, "I think I can." I think yes, trying to get up the hill and didn't think he could make it, and like, "I think I can. I think I can. I think I can." And then when it gets to the top, it goes, "I knew I could. I knew I could." As it was going down the other side.
That's awesome.
That's a story that I've been heard since I was a little girl.
That's awesome. But working out is a good example. Some days I'm like, I don't have any motivation to do this right now. I don't want to do this at all. And then I go, well, you know what? I don't care. There's a point where I say, this is going to help me get to my goal. So I don't care if I want to do it or not. I have to do it. That's where the determination comes in. That's where the, the bumps in the road. You kind of gotta, okay, I don't have any motivation, but as you do the thing, the motivation comes.
I was going to ask you that. So do you find when you go and you don't feel like doing it, but then in the middle of doing it, you go and do it anyway and get, I'm so glad I did this. And
Right.
I was going to ask you, is that what you felt?
That definitely happens. You become motivated. One, because I'm doing something that I consider hard, and I'm completing it. So that there is an accomplishment. You get endorphins from that, and then motivation. Yeah, motivation just comes. You have to take action, and then the motivation comes, which kind of sucks. I'm sorry it works like that. I don't like that it works like that, but that's okay.
So I'm going to ask you then. Yeah, I often hear coaches, and I think Paul and your mum say this a lot too. Celebrate your wins. What do you do as a teenager to celebrate your wins? And I know you don't go and drink, but way too many of them, they celebrate their wins that they've achieved with alcohol. What do you do? What is a good, safe thing that you like to do?
Yeah. I have to think of
or don't you reward yourself at all, just the fact that you did it?
Yeah. For me, I definitely I don't. I think it's extremely healthy to do that. So let's take dieting. Dieting is a good example. So if you're dieting, you're eating super clean, and your goal was to eat clean for 2 weeks. You got to the 2 weeks. I definitely say rewarding yourself with a cheat day is a great idea. So, eating sweets. As a teenager or something, you want to take this test, you want to do really well on the test. You study for 2 weeks, you pass the test with flying colors. I think a good way to celebrate is, you get to hang out with your friends for longer. You get to stay out later. You get to, fun stuff like that. Something that you really enjoy doing, I think, is a great way to celebrate. Yeah, totally. Doing something that you don't normally do. So, taking a trip somewhere, stuff like that. Just simple things where you don't feel like you're constantly having to push yourself, because that's a huge thing for me. I feel like I constantly have to push myself. Now it's fun. I like doing it because I've labeled it as fun. I like doing it, but it does get tiring, and you don't want to get to the point where you burn out. So you have to reach a point where you see your accomplishments, even the little ones, and you say, okay, great job. We've done something good. Let's keep going, because then you don't lose motivation. Then you gain motivation because you celebrate your wins. You do something that you love. You work hard and you play hard. So that's honestly what it is. You work hard, you set a goal, you complete the goal, and you keep going. Something that I don't like that people do is that they set a goal for a year. And that's great. Do that. Work on that for the year. But to me, that makes me feel like I have to nonstop work for a whole year. That is not exciting. So yes, I set a year goal. I set a 5-year goal. I set a ton of goals over years, but I also set monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals. And I complete that so that I don't lose motivation. I celebrate my wins. I want to drink this amount of water every day. Okay. So every single time I drink that amount of water, I don't know. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I drank 90 ounces of water, and I decided, oh, okay, so now I can do something that I like doing. I like to go. I have a problem. I like to sing and dance and act. That's all I like to do. So I drank all this water and I was like, okay, now I can,
Go and sing my favorite song.
right.
Dance to put your favorite music on.
Right. I can go dance around the house, whatever it is. I can, I drank all this water. Now I can go hang out with my friends. It sounds stupid, but it really helps so that you don't burn out. Like that's kind of what teenagers, something I do as a teenager. I don't know. You kind of, what you like to do is what you should do to celebrate your wins, I guess.
Yeah. Which aren't damaging. Oh, look, there's the beautiful mother.
Hi, you guys. I hear you guys just
Sheryl.
talking about some fun stuff.
We are. We have been.
That is awesome. Everything sounds so good.
Anyone would think it was cold over there.
Listen, I just did the cold plunge. She's a
Oh, did you? Oh, see, now that's something I am. Yeah, no.
You can do it, Broadway. You just have to set a goal.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
And I choose not to. For one, I don't know. I don't know how I would be able to do that. I have to do it in the bath. It's the only place I could do it.
Well, when you come over here, then you can get into my cold plunge, and we'll see. Well, you can just dip yourself in quick.
Look, I used to go swimming and do 10 Ks every time, and getting into start. If you're getting slow, it is cold. You just got to dive in and go for it. I don't do it anymore because I kept getting ear infections, and and I've got this thing in my ear that was eating away at me. But anyway, it's my thing that I used to love doing, and I do miss it. But I walk now. I have to do other things. But at the time, because of my health issues, I needed the water to help support my other health issues. And now that I can move better, I can walk and do other things. And I have my little thing here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Look, about 3 years ago, I could not lift my arms even this high without being in extreme pain. I was paralyzed when I was 25, let me tell you.
Wow.
But, I taught myself to walk again. I've done lots of things, but I still lived with that, sort of the effects of that for many years, until about 3 years ago.
That is so awesome. So you know all about obstacles.
Yes.
And overcoming them.
And I still have a lot. Look, I may be, hang on, how old am I? My kids have got to remind me all the time. 63. 63 back in October. And I was going to say 53. And hang on a minute. No, wait on. The kids sent us on a cruise for my 60th birthday. So that can't be right. It's great when you get to the point where I don't feel 63.
Right.
Absolutely don't. I feel like a teenager.
Yeah.
And I think that is a good feeling to have, is it not?
Yes, it is. It really is. It's the best feeling to have. It's the best feeling to feel younger and not feel your age because of, the way you're taking care of your body. And because of the things that you're able to do now that you couldn't do, 3, 4, 5 years ago. That's what I think is so exciting.
Oh yeah, and I actually feel like I'm getting younger. We talk about living younger longer.
Yep.
And I feel like my age is reversing.
Yeah.
And can I tell you a story? And I know this is all about last October, just after my birthday, a couple of days after my birthday, we went up to the Gold Coast. My hair's caught in my glasses. We went up to visit our third son and his family on the Gold Coast, which is an 8-hour drive from us. Less if you don't stop, but you've got to stop, put petrol in the car and stuff. Anyway, and toilet breaks. And they have 4 little kids. right? And the baby is actually our only granddaughter was born 23rd January last year when I was on a training with you guys. Anyway, and so they had a minivan, right? And in sort of my son, sort of like, obviously either my husband or if my husband and I are up there together, obviously only one of us can sit in the front with whoever's driving. And so, I'm happy to climb right in the back with the kids. Have no issue with it. And my son's going, "Oh, Mum, seriously, we're not going to be able to get you out of there. It's fine." And he is stunned that I just climb in like a kid. I climb out like a kid. I said, "I've told you I'm flexible. No flies on me."
That is so exciting.
It is, but like, he's don't label me as like you're too old to be able to climb into the back. No, the fun bit is sitting in the back with the grandkids. I love it. I love being right over the back. I was the back of the bus girl. Back seat.
Oh my gosh.
I was a good girl, but dear.
Oh, that's awesome. It's so fantastic. And it's so great to feel like you can help other people accomplish the same thing, accomplish their health goals, accomplish their, all the goals that they set. That's what I'm so excited about. I heard you guys talking about goals and just really, things that you can, obstacles that you can overcome, and just like our whole goal setting course that we did. And Bronwyn, I know you were on that too. And I just thought it was such a great way to start the new year.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to sitting down and going through it better, because I like to listen. I'm one of these people that like to listen, and then this is where I love recording and go back, and I can pause it all the time so I can make my notes, because I am dyslexic. I do struggle with writing and listening. I mean, I can hear and write, but I always miss something.
Yep.
It's the same when watching a movie, you find something new every time you watch it. See, so when you're on Broadway, Angelica, send me a ticket and I'm going to come watch you.
All righty.
Oh, that sounds
all the way from Australia. I don't know if they'll let me into the country, but that's beside the Your mum
that would be so fun to do, wouldn't it? I'm trying to get that. I'm seeing if the goal setting course link is available yet. I think it is.
Yes, it is. I've got an email about it.
Did you get one?
Yeah, yesterday afternoon. Too late for me to get on and do it last night because I was helping clients. So
right. So so you can go to it's elevateyourlife.com and it's right there, isn't it?
It is. So those of you who aren't registered, get registered for it so you can go and check it out. Well, now we still have this recording going, so maybe I should.
I like it.
You might have to break it up in two, Bronwyn. It's like over an hour, I think.
Is it? Oh well, if people want to come and watch the second half, that's their choice. That's the beauty of recording. They can stop it and start it, and whenever they want.
Yeah.
And this is what I do in Bronie's world. I go with the flow of my guests, because some of them have really amazing things to share and conversation flows, and others only want to talk for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that's cool too. So and I think that's important, that people see I'm not an actress, okay? I'm just authentic. I just go with where it is, and I like people to see me as me and my guests as them. No fakeness involved. They just, that this is my world, and if there are people that I connect with, I have long conversations with, then I have it. If there are people that can only talk for a short time, then that's their choice too. It's just how I roll.
Right.
And it's the same. it's like a movie. Some movies you're so immersed in it you don't even realize that you've been sitting there watching them for a couple of hours.
Right.
And there are other movies you think, oh, I wish this would hurry up and end.
Right.
And you don't want to go and see them a second time. But but that's how it is. And I have absolutely loved chatting with you, Angelique. And I said that wrong, didn't I?
You got it. You got it. You
I
got
got
it.
I did explain to you I have never heard anyone with that name before.
It's a new name.
It is a new name.
I've never heard anybody with my
63.
name.
You could just call her the angel.
Well, I nearly do that too. Well, I think she is your angel, isn't she, Sheryl?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm super blessed.
she's certainly her mother's daughter. And
That's
having
where I
not
get
met
all
your,
that from.
well, I haven't met your dad. Like he's friended me on Facebook and everything and stuff, but I haven't actually got to talk to him. Have to do that one day. We'll have to have him on here one day, won't we?
He's a very powerful speaker.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually studied law, would you believe it, in my latter years.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
In 2013, I actually graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce degree in business law.
Wow.
There's a whole story behind me going and doing that, but it's not my story I'm telling today. There was a whole story behind me doing that, but then in the midst of that, we took on our foster son, and my priorities changed. So, but I still completed it. I believe if you start something, you complete it.
Yep.
But anyway, that's just me, and it's a great achievement. I got the graduation off my thing.
That's awesome.
It's like I was told I'd never amount to anything, let alone go to university and get a degree like that. And I did that in my latter years. It doesn't matter what your age.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go into acting.
Yeah.
You should try it.
Especially when you're getting younger, Broadway.
I think everyone should.
Right.
Yeah.
I will be your competition. Well, they take older people, don't they? They need older actresses.
Oh yeah. They always need somebody. Everyone's perfect for one role.
Well, everyone's perfect for their own role.
That's right.
We're all unique. Exactly right. Well, listen, I probably should end this our chat for today, because we could chat on forever. And we can do this again sometimes, especially as you get closer to your Broadway goals and dreams, because just because don't say you're only 14. Goodness sakes, they need 14-year-olds on Broadway.
Yep.
How many child actresses do we see that they need kids for those roles, like The Sound of Music?
Right.
So you can go for it now. You don't have to wait till you're a certain age. So
Exactly.
don't you agree, Sheryl? We've got
Yes.
to get a start somewhere.
No.
Yeah, but she can go try out now, but I like to wait a little bit longer for Broadway.
Well, yeah, because that's not quite, you don't quite live quite there, do you?
Right. No, we would have to move to New York, and I don't want to move to New York right now.
To be honest, I don't want to move to New York either. But anyway, I live in the country, and I love living in the country.
Yeah.
I love my space around me.
Yes.
So, country girl, born and bred.
Yep. Just like me.
Yep, there you go. See? Good dairy farmer's daughter I was. And, well, that's passed away. When it's in your blood, it's in your blood. Anyway, let's kind of end this, because, like I said, we could chat all day. So as I say here in Bronie's World, I ask you all really nicely to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you are, regardless of your age, like Angelique and, did I say it right? Angelica,
You got it.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
knew I'd said it wrong the moment I said it came out of my mouth wrong. As a teenager, setting your goals and really getting focused and writing them down so that you can knock the trees out of your pathway or the paths that take you off the track, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. So God bless you all. Thank you for coming to Bronie's World for another day here in Bronie's World, and we'll catch you again tomorrow for my special guest I have tomorrow. And that's Wise Wednesday for the first Wise Wednesday of 2023. And what a great guest I had. I loved her. I could talk to her all day, but we
Thank you.
thank you guys for coming.
Thank
See
you.
now. Bye.
Bye.